It's every day for second day. This one's for me, and maybe for you too, if you have a tendency to really like blow things out of proportion, get worked up about small setbacks, like I often tend to do. So this morning, I was working on publishing the first Everyday Fora, and I was basically trying to make my own intro music. I did a little kind of halfway competent beatbox, and then I was filtering it and shifting it and kind of trying to make it sound like music. And it's not something I've got a lot of experience doing, but I messed around with stuff and it was coming out, I thought, fairly well. And then my DAW, my digital audio workstation, my computer basically crashed and I lost it. And my immediate instinct was to just really get upset, look at it as, well, my day is starting off terrible and this is just, it's setting the tone for the rest of the day. And of course, there was also a healthy dose of, you idiot, you haven't saved, because it was literally like an 8-second recording and I just did not see a crash coming with that small recording session file, whatever. So I hadn't saved it. So of course it didn't back up. I had lost everything, and that is part of it too. Would be my initial instinct to just kick myself. If you had just done this simple thing, you would have not lost all that work. So I used to be the kind of person who would get very worked up and upset about small things. Like if I was stuck in a long line at the coffee shop, for example, that would really irritate me. And I would be in a bad mood. I would be grouchy. I really tried not to take it out on other people, but I'm sure I wasn't successful at that all the time. At some point, and I can't tell you when, but it's probably been at least a decade now, I realized that if that small thing, that delay, that inconvenience, that even small amount of pain was the worst thing that happened in a single day, then that day was going to be a good one. And so I've used that attitude, that perspective, saying it to myself out loud sometimes, to short circuit the impulse to end up in a bad mood or to let something like that ruin my day. I have more recently realized that I can very easily give that grace to other people when they are responsible. So, for example, in the coffee shop example, if it's a new barista is being trained and things are going slowly and the line backs up, um, and they make a mistake or whatever, I can give them the grace and say, you know what, if that's the worst thing that happens to me today, it's going to be a great day. I can do that for other people, with other people, when other people are responsible. When it's myself causing a relatively minor inconvenience to myself or to others, I can't. I just spiral into negative self talk, criticism. I'm the worst. I've messed everything up. And I think that, maybe more than the inconvenience itself, I think that self destructive, self blaming mindset is actually what sets the negative tone for the day. And so this morning, when my session file crashed and I lost the 8 seconds of work that I had spent probably a good 45 minutes trying to make, and it was gone, I was able to short circuit that impulse to take a deep breath, let it out, and just say, okay, you know what? I wasn't making a masterpiece. It wasn't hours worth of work. if I lose this little bit of messing around trying to make my own music, it's not the end of the world. It's not inconveniencing me terribly. It's definitely not hurting anyone else or putting them out. And so, if this is the worst thing that happens to me today, it's going to be a good day. I gave myself that grace that I can usually, almost always, give to other people very easily. And I kind of want to say it worked. I was a little bit grouchy about it, but it didn't trigger the cascade of self-loathing and the depression and lowness that almost always is associated with that kind of self-criticism. And yeah, I've had a decent day since then. There are a couple of other things that have gone wrong, but they've also been relatively minor, and so I've been able to keep my chin up. And so I don't know, that feels important. It feels important in some way that maybe not for the first time. I may have done it before, but I'm not consciously aware of it. For the first time that I really am aware and can remember, I was able to use that thing that I very often use to forgive other people, to give other people grace when they've inconvenienced me, and cut myself that same slack. So I wanted to put this here for myself as a reminder, and maybe for you as a suggestion. This might be a way that you can keep a small thing from ruining your day, even if it's something you did to yourself. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.